What if the next 260 days held the key to humanity's collective awakening? Today, we explore the sacred gestation period leading to the golden intersection of timelines, a time to nurture our collective potential and prepare for planetary transformation. How can sacred spaces, intentional practices, and alignment with natural cycles guide us through this profound journey? Welcome to 260 Days to Transformation, preparing for the golden intersection of timelines.
Tune in with the Galactic podcast and expand your view.
In Lakesh, peace and blessings, peace and presence to everyone out there tuning in with the Galactic Spin podcast. My name is Mikuak Rai, Kin 126. It is truly an honor to be here in this ongoing adventure with you all, alongside my dear brother Ruben Llinás, Kin 113. In Lakesh, Ruben, on this
In
awesome.
Lakesh, Brother Makua, on this auspicious milestone to the golden intersection. What a journey. What an honor to share the journey with you and co-pilot this space, this sacred space that we open ceremonially to really walk the path of the golden intersection in spirit of harmony, in the spirit of discovery, and on the spirit of adventure, because well, every 7 days is a whole different world, and we already saw what happened since our last episode. So the world has been experiencing that challenge of that lunar Earth Day when there is a new incoming administration in the US, and the world is feeling the shock waves. But here we are to give actually the 180 take, or the spin, on everything that we are seeing in the mainstream news and on social media. Here is a space to really go beyond those spaces and explore the higher dimension. So thank you so much for this journey.
It's amazing. It is amazing to endeavor to do a 52-week podcast, to set out to do that, to mark something so important, obviously, and we feel it's so important. We want to bring it to the awareness of as many people as we possibly can. So we're very grateful. It's truly an honor as well to be here with you. Special shout out to Ishel for that wonderful intro video. As always, she's incredible when it comes to the production. And I know Ishel and Alejandra have been also working tirelessly just to help dial in some of the website presence and the other assets that we do have coming online and available. We'll show some of that in the conversation this evening as well in real time. So we'll be able to introduce people to the update on the website, the webpage, and things like that. So they can go there as a great resource. Let's check in, though, because we are now in this new hologram. We've just begun a new 260-day count. And in fact, we are, as of now, 259 days away from October 14th, 2025. And we know that October 14th is significant for several reasons. And one of them is because it's the completion of 13 tune cycles. In the sacred Mayan calendar, you have 360-day cycles called tunes. So when we talk about staying in tune, there are layers of meaning to that, layers of resonance. But certainly staying in tune, being aware and having a 360-degree view, in other words, the entirety around you, and we may as well say within you as well. That's what that is encouraging. But we complete 13 of these tune cycles since December 21st, 2012. That's the crossing of a major threshold, very important event in the fabric of time and space occurred on December 21st, 2012. It really began the shift that we're now experiencing the acceleration of right now. We're in the 13th year since that threshold. So you can imagine, as we've been building up, the energy is only increasing. And as it increases, we're obviously guided to be anchored in our heart and get anchored in love and anchored in what you know to be true, so that you can hold fast to that truth as things do shift, because things are moving fast. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But certainly thank you and thank us, as Baba Kwame Sunhorse likes to say and remind me, thank us for tuning in to this special edition of the Galactic Spin podcast. And we're going to take the Earth's pulse and check in with that pulse right now. Thank you and stay tuned. Indeed. So as we check in, as Ruben indicated, things are moving fast. Things have been shifting swiftly in the experiment of the United States, as we can see. Lots happening there.
Mhm.
And what's interesting as well is we've also been attended by this incredible display in the heavens. So,
Mhm.
Ruben, talk a little bit about that. What's been going on?
Yes, well, this is something that we have been highlighting for the probably the past four episodes. This planetary parade that we started mentioning back at the beginning of the Gregorian year. There is a 49-day window that seven planets, including Mercury, that is not in the picture, but that is will be for February 28th, final parade day. We will have these seven celestial bodies visible in the night skies. There is not per se a planetary alignment; it's more a planetary parade because the planets do not appear in a perfect line. So if we already got last week the peak window, which on the next slide we can see was January 21st to January 25th. And during that peak window, well, more people started to do some observations, and this is from the Virtual Telescope project in Italy, that they took like a full 360-degree picture where we can see Venus on the lower right, and we can see also Saturn next to Venus and Jupiter. Uh, the the background or the backdrop of the star Sirius and the belt of Orion. So this is an ongoing display of the stars or the planets that are uh, rotating around the sun in the solar system, and that they look like stars from here. They look like small sparks of light. And when we have alignments like these, in aligning with a moment like the one that we are now commemorating, which is this 260-day countdown to the golden intersection, well, we see the reflection of order, as above, so below, or as it is now, so it will be in 260 days that we have now a space alignment, and we have like this time alignment in 260 days on a day like today. So this is an invitation for contemplation, for really admire the beauty of the symphony that is playing in the background, and that we take a little break from our daily bubbles and daily lives, and we stop and go outside if we have the chance to see the planets and just connect with that energy, and plant the seeds. Today is a solar seed date, so in 260 days we will see that seed that is planted today flowering. And that's the energy of today on the Tzolkin count, and we will expand on that in the next section. But we are in the shadow of that parade, and the parade had like a special guest that in the past 2 weeks was also part of the display of light in the heavens. It was Comet Atlas C 2024 G3, and it 2 weeks ago, exactly 2 weeks ago, it was crossing right in front of the sun. We covered that on that episode, and now because it survived the pass through the sun, it is super bright and is visible to the naked eye. And this is an amazing picture that I think it was taken in Chile. And there is another couple that we took from spaceweather.com that is in the next two slides, which is, as we can see, has an amazing tail. So comets and planetary lineups like the one that we are experiencing are always indicators of a higher order and an alignment of greater dimensions and proportions. So it is another confirmation having this blazing comet as a harbinger of the beauty of this moment, and as a reminder that we have miracles all the time in blessing us in the sky, and that we just have the right set of eyes to be ready to receive and appreciate the beauty that is taking place.
Indeed. And for a little contrast, let's also talk about the significance of what they call the doomsday clock.
Yes.
Well, we do the contrast with the beauty. We figured we might throw this in here as well.
Yes, well, we learned also last week that this is the time of the year that usually the scientists at the Bulletin of Atomic Science, well, this is the website of that they produce their bulletins and communications, and it's an association of scientific experts and people who are concerned about the status of the world, and they have like a press conference every year around this day to let us know how close we are of annihilation. It's not like the most auspicious way to enter a new year and a new cycle, but this is part of the contrast that we want to show, that the concept of mechanizing time can go in this kind of direction, that we created like a doomsday clock to measure how close are we from self-extinction.
Yeah.
So
How close are we to destroying ourselves?
yes.
So how effective has mechanized time been at causing our expiration?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting parallel, because of course in the press conference is going to take place tomorrow, and we will know how close we are. Right now we are 90 seconds to midnight. It is worth saying that according to this report, in 2012 we were 5 minutes to midnight. And as we can see on the statement, for 2025 they are considering different global threats for this status of the current planetary emergency, and that they are including the proliferation of nuclear weapons, disruptive technologies like artificial intelligence, the Russia-Ukraine war, Israeli-Hamas war, Israeli-Hezbollah conflict, biothreats, and the continued climate crisis. So, in just one paragraph, they pretty much summarize the converging crisis that we are experiencing, and that's one version of reality again, and we may or may not want to connect with that version of reality, because there is a different version, and this version, of course, was created by the same people who invented the atomic bomb. So the nuclear community, the nuclear scientist community, and actually their website, we recommend anyone who wants to learn more, because it has interesting data in it. This timeline goes from 1947, when they first created this doomsday clock, and they have a section in the website called Culture and the Clock, which has an interesting take on how the clock, this doomsday clock, has been adopted since the 1940s, from when it was created, in movies and in pop culture and in the literature of the years after its inception. So right now, the this meme or this symbol of the clock is 90 seconds to midnight. And we will see tomorrow, and we will report on 7 days what was the report. But of course, we always can see the two sides of the coin, and this is part of this showing. This is that while we are focusing our minds and intentions in harmony for the next 260 days, this is seeing the other aspect of the moment that we are living. So it's an opportunity really to go beyond duality, and to really integrate the polarities into our beings, and in the compassion of the moment that we are living, and the suffering of so many people, and the difficulties for so many people starting a new Gregorian year. But beyond that, there is a higher beauty, higher reality, and we are here to explore that.
Yeah, I think the one thing you say that I really resonate with is the fact that it's a choice, because the doomsday perception is one interpretation, and we also have to appreciate that the forces that we do navigate alongside in the third dimension, they seek to, in many cases, dominate the narrative,
Mhm.
dominate the species, right? So we, with force, obviously, they make their story heard and told.
Mhm.
So this is a time where your creativity is called upon to create a new narrative, and to
Yeah.
take it upon yourself to step into that freely, with confidence and with grace, and as you mentioned, with compassion, because many people are going through a lot of challenge and contrast right now, and we all experience it in various ways. So
Yeah.
certainly be gentle with yourself at this time,
Absolutely.
as well as with each other, as we navigate, really moving out of uh, the vibration of reaction, and moving into a higher frequency of actual revolution.
Mm.
That's one of the themes we're going to get into a little bit more in the conversation with our guest as well, just given some of her story, and the path that she's experienced up to now. A lot to offer, I think, in the way of wisdom and insights as well. So, indeed, thank you for staying in your heart. Thank you for staying tuned with us here. And we're going to go ahead and tune in and sync up, or sink in and tune up, as it were. I always like to mix those up every time I say it. But we're going to sink in and tune up, just as we continue to spiral higher together. So we give thanks. And Lakesh. So jumping right in, we do, as we can see, we find ourselves in this seventh moon on this year coded by Kin 19, the blue rhythmic storm year. And with that, we always like to identify it as NS1.37. And I know you have pointed out the last couple of times that 137 is the approximation of the golden angle.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see that in a moment on one of the upcoming visuals. But just suffice it to say, this is a year of great, great transformation, catalyzation, and self-generation, generation of energy. So the catalyzation that's coming through is meant to shift us from whatever or whomever we may have thought ourselves to be into the higher perception of who we truly are. And that's what is happening in the swirling of this energy here on this earth plane, is it's requiring us to shift.
Yes.
And so that's part of the value and the benefit of really being awake at the wheel, so to speak, in this blue rhythmic storm year. It's also implied in the rhythmic tone, that tone 6, that it's a year of organization, of organizing ourselves, of balance and equality.
Mm-hmm.
So these themes we can find in various ways expressing and making themselves apparent to us if we have the eyes to see as we navigate this incredible field of energy here together. And we're now, as I mentioned, we're in the moon 7 of this 13 moon year. We're in the resonant moon of attunement. The resonant moon of attunement. And as you can see, within that wave spell cycle of 13 moons, it's the very center moon. In fact, this whole moon itself, this whole moon 7 has been so powerful because last week and this week are basically containing the very center of not only the 13 moon year, but then also this larger fractal hologram of 260 that's measured out over the course of 5 years, where every moon is equal to one kin. And we've been sharing that and kind of giving an explanation of that for folks as well. But for more visual support, I think this is a great image to share. And I want to clarify, because I know in the past couple of weeks we've had people listening into the broadcast and getting a little confused about when we talk about it being the blue rhythmic storm year, but then having the question as to, well, why do we talk about the yellow human impacting the year? And I just want to share that when we speak of the yellow human in this instance, it's a layer of fractal resonance. There's a fractal layer that when you utilize the 260 as a fractal yardstick, in a sense, or a layer, you can identify 260 kin on a day-by-day basis. One kin equals 1 day, which we see kin to kin, 260 days. So we know today is kin 204, and 260 days it'll be kin 204 on the golden intersection of the timelines. But you can also look at the fractal lens of one kin equals 7 days. So that's a way of expanding that fractal lens. And so we are also navigating the sequence where every heptad is coded by a specific quality or kin of the 260. And then an additional layer, which is the one we're looking at right now, is where one kin equals one entire moon. Now that cycle completes every 5 years. So it so happens that the current year that we're in, according to the one kin equals one moon frequency or pattern, is we're coded this year by the yellow magnetic human. And that's the reason we keep referring to that, because it is the fractal layer in the one kin equals one moon scale to appreciate that additional layer of resonance and synchronization. Now, the thing of it is, it's not arbitrary. So it's based in what's called the 20 tablets of the law of time, which were revealed in the year 1997.
Yes.
And at that point, it set forth an evolutionary process. It's kind of like wheels within wheels, cycles within cycles. So what happened in 97 is you began a 16-year process from 97 to 2013 to the point of what's called galactic synchronization. So this is what leads up to galactic synchronization. Now, it's very interesting because that's a 16-year window, 97 to 2013. We happen to be in the 16th wave spell right now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay, which is coded by that yellow warrior energy. So we're noticing these interesting nested fractals within fractals within fractals, like the Russian dolls, like we
Mm-hmm.
have referenced in the past, these nested holon cycles within each other. So it's just interesting to note how the numbers begin to reveal themselves in that case. But for those who are really wanting to comprehend where we apply the yellow human or the one kin equals one moon layer, then I do encourage people to visit our website, theharmonicfactor.com, and actually download the 1328 harmonic synchronometer for this year, because our synchronometer in particular features these additional fractal layers.
Yes.
Whereas many of the other natural time tools don't feature this particular layer, but then again, that's part of our role as the harmonic factor. When you
Mm-hmm.
want to have harmony, you have to have multiple layers. You can't have harmony with just one layer. That's not
Yeah.
harmony.
Mm-hmm.
So we call our tool the harmonic factor because we do layer in various layers or lenses of fractal resonance, such as
Exactly.
that which allows us to see how the yellow human is influencing this entire year. So, in other words, we're in a year, we're as a planetary species, we're at a moment of choice point. Maybe people have
Mm-hmm.
heard that terminology. It's been kind of popular the last decade or so, but we're at a choice point. But we truly are. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and people are making choices all the time, like, right? So people have made certain choices that have brought us to where we are now, which is quite interesting. So now we
Yeah.
have to, live with the consequences of our choices, while at the same time, we're not ever stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
We can always make a new choice. We may discover that the choice we made formerly wasn't in our best interest after all.
Mm-hmm.
So as we shift, as we grow, as we evolve, we retain the right and the capacity of our own volition to make a new choice. And that's what this year is really supporting us to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we're literally right here in the very center of this year. So it's important, as we are specifically now inside this 260-day hologram, this container, this sacred
Yeah.
space, it's very important to appreciate these other fractal layers, because they are powers and energies you can draw upon
Mm-hmm.
for the purpose of, orienting yourself, but also making sense of these
Yes.
organic times that
Absolutely.
we're living in. These are sense-making tools.
Yeah.
Not to get caught up so much in the numbers and the codes and stuff, but if you really just appreciate the qualities of what these archetypes and these
Mm-hmm.
patterns are actually inviting you or are expressing, I mean, it's a very revelatory. Very.
Yes, these are layers of meaning, and of course, it allows the fractal quality allows us to zoom in or zoom out and really perceive qualities of the moment that we are living from these different perspectives of one day, 1 week, 1 moon, 1 year, or even. In the case of what we were speaking, this 13 moon fractal count in 20 years, we complete 260 moons because every year has 13 moons. So these fractals are allowing us to really read the story in between the lines, like what is happening at the macro level and what is happening at the micro level. And for instance, this entire moon is an opportunity to really reflect, literally, on our role as humans, because it's the archetype that is governing this entire moon is the white resonant mirror, that which happens to be also the kin of the day out of time of the year 2000, which was the midpoint between 1987 and 2013. And it's another midpoint that we are right now transiting, because this entire moon of 28 days is the midpoint all of the entire year. So this is how we can really see the nested qualities, and in this graphic of this moon, we can see how the 4 7 day weeks or heptads are each coded by one of the four kin that are at the heart of the Tzolkin matrix. The Tzolkin matrix would be of 260 heptads. So basically, in 5 years, we have 260 heptads, 52 heptads per year, times 5, 260 heptads. And in 20 years, we have 216 moons. So those are kind of the fractal 5 years and 20 years, 5 years, 260 weeks, 20 years, 260 moons. And when we do that, we can, like in this case, perceive the scale of the alignment taking place, because we right now that we are just not navigating the midpoint of the 13 moon year, but also the midpoint of a 260 week hologram or a 5 year hologram, and that makes of this point special in terms of the timing of everything that we are discussing. And as we can see, that seventh moon is right at the heart of the 13 orbits of the or the 13 moons of the year. And on the human gestation cycle or the 1320 matrix, we see that today is kin 204 and that precisely this kin 204 has a special quality in the Galactic Maya count, because as we will see today, it's a very special day. But let's go to the next slide in the graphic, which is the warrior waspel, and in that graphic we can see how this entire cycle is full of very, very, very special events, and the birth and return of important protagonists of this story, like Luitin Burris, Jose Arguelles, Nicolas Roerich. Today's his galactic return. So the golden intersection of timelines is also honoring that, honoring the fact that Nicolas Roerich, the creator of the Banner of Peace and the concept of peace to culture, is completing today 212, would be completing today 211 Tzolkins on the planet. And precisely today, also, we are in the ancient Maya long count tracked by the indigenous people. Today is the day for Ahau. The next slide, we can see that this day for Ahau is basically the golden section of the 1320 matrix, and this golden section is basically a harmonic point of reference. The indigenous people don't measure it, but if we would place their calendar, their 260-day count in this in a wheel or in this matrix, we will see that day 160 of the 260-day cycle is always the golden proportion. So today is that day, and one of Nicolas Roerich of his favorite quotes was referred to beauty and the relationship of beauty with the knowledge. And let me go to the slide here. Is culture is the accumulation of highest bliss, highest beauty, and highest knowledge. And I think that the golden section is actually that accumulation of highest knowledge and highest beauty and highest harmony. So today we honor that, and we honor the fact that because it was a day for a how, December 21st, 2012. We are basically completing today officially 17 cycles on this episode 17 cycles of 260 days in December 2012, December 21st, 2012. In 3 days for us who track the Galactic Maya count would be Kin 207, which is the blue crystal night, which was the day of December 21st, 2012 on the Galactic Maya count. But because of the leap day, because the fact that every 4 years we have a leap day, that extra day is creating is accumulating 1 day difference every year. So that's why we have 3 leap years accumulated since 2012 to 2025, and those are the 3 days that are going to take place: Kin 205, 206, and 207. So here we see again the big picture. We are in this on the other side of this hologram of 260 generations, or 13 Bactoons, each Bactoon 20 generations. And precisely the day for a how was coding day 1 and day 872,000 days is the exact amount of days within this cycle of 13 Bactoons, or 13 cycles of 144,000 days each. So what we are what we were crossing on a day like today was that last square on the bottom right of this hologram, which is a 20-year cycle known as a cartoon. So in this fractal count, each unit of the Tzolkin is 1 generation. That's another fractal count. And the day December 21st, 2012 was 4 Ahau, and the day August 13 minus 3113 BC was also a day 8 Ahau. That's why this is the beginning and the end of the great cycle of 13 Bactoons. This is a special date, and is one of the main components of the golden intersection of timelines, having this special alignment, not only of that important signature of for a how, Kin, the equivalent of Kin 160, but because in 260 days we will be completing also 13 cycle of 360 days. Those are the two main components of the Mayan vigesimal count synchronizing in 260 days: the sacred count of 260 and the tune count of 360. Those two are synchronizing every 18 cycles of 260 days. We have 13 cycles of 360 days. So we are in that path of convergence. And it's interesting to know that the same symbol that we use to depict the golden number, which is the letter phi, is rotated the number or the character that the Maya were using to represent the zero. So in the two expressions of that small symbol of one circle divided in two, there is a lot to unpack for sure. And it's interesting to know also that the letter phi is the 21st letter of the Greek alphabet. And number 21 is actually one of the Fibonacci numbers in the sequence that connects with the frequency of phi, sorry. So we are really approaching a 0 point. That's what we want to meant with this graphic. That is a point of harmony, but is also like a point of the source of creation, the beginning and the end. And as such, we honor that. We honor the energy, and for all of us who live the closing of the cycle of December 21st, 2012 in special places, we know the potency of those days and the potency of what is building up again after 13 years of going through that portal. So this is also a good opportunity to really uh, recap and briefly see the path that we have walked to this point. But I guess that we can, if you want, we can maybe close with this after we speak with our guest today, because this will serve just as a colophon to the important thing that we are going to share today, and is how we can prepare and how we can create with our communities, with our groups, and with our close and loved ones, spaces for the celebration of the golden intersection and for the harmony and beauty of this day to really penetrate our daily lives.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly lots to share and to absorb, as always. As we do make the shift and we welcome Muhjah to the screen here in a moment, we do want to impart a new galactic vocabulary in terms of the word. And this just sets the stage for what we're recapitulating to some degree, but what we're also anticipating, as that is the essence right now of what's to come, the anticipation, being that we're here in Gene Key 41. Chronotopology,
Yes.
a term coined by Charles Muses to define any geography of time and consisting of an event point of meaning that creates a root meaning from which time formed, blossomed, or radiated meanings emerge above a horizon of meaning. So that's a very complex concept. It's a word soup, I might say, in terms of what he's talking about there. But I guess to sum it up, you want to sum up that term just in simplifying it for the listeners?
Yes, yeah, and I guess that it's always good to put it in everyday words, but
Yeah.
basically we are do, really traveling through time as we are traveling through space. So we can, within the fabric of time, we can locate a special point of meaning of an event, like for instance, the closing of the 13th Bactun cycle of the ancient Maya long count. That's an event of meaning because a lot of meaning was placed on that particular date. And from there, every instance of that same event is one of those sprout meanings that emerge above the horizon. So the more we progress in our journey through these milestones, which are horizons of meaning, the
Yes.
more that meaning unfolds or unpacks or blossoms.
Mm.
And we have these radiated meanings like we are seeing right now after 13 years of this alignment. We have the flowering of many other layers of synchronicity that are combining with what happened on December 21st, 2012. So that sets a little bit the stage for the recap. We want to go back and see what has happened when we started this broadcast on actually on a magnetic human on a fractal of the entire purpose of this 13 moon planetary service wasteful of the blue rhythmic storm. And we since then we completed 365 days, 360 days, then we completed 12 years from December 21st, 2012, and today we are 260 days from the golden intersection. So we wanted to just go back and remember the auspiciousness of those milestones and how we are in this path of harmonic ascension or harmonic progression towards more and more and more layers of harmony and beauty.
Yeah, I just want to point out then to that point, if you look at the wave spell on the screen, we know the yellow human, as you mentioned, that coincided with the start of our podcast, this very broadcast right here. And that means the yellow human coded that 13-day cycle, as well as it codes this whole 13-moon year, as we know. Very powerful layer of resonance there. Also, within that wave spell, we know that NOAA and NASA declared the solar maximum cycle was beginning. So all of this is sort of at the outset of us developing this offering, creating the ceremonial space here digitally, virtually, for folks to begin to align and resonate with this information we're sharing, as well as invite other voices in, because whether you know these technical terms or not, there's an emergence happening through humanity. We literally, as a species, are mutating, and that's being expressed through everybody in their own unique ways. And so not only are we interested in sharing what we may perceive or have knowledge about in this case, because we certainly think it's beneficial for people to make it conscious, we also similarly want to learn from other humans on the journey, because we're here in this earth school together. And that's a part of the power of this. Now, notice this. We initiated this with the 8th wave spell out of 20, and that being coded or initiated by Yellow Magnetic Human. And I don't know if there's any other points of resonance you want to point out in this wave spell before I share something I'm just noticing here. I think it's
Yes,
really
in when we see the green lines, what we see is what you mentioned, that it was precisely on Kin 100, October 15, that we enter solar maximum on a solar Sunday, and 4 days later on Kin 104 we enter the last 360-day cycle. So
wow.
those two kin 100 and kin 104 are key within everything that we are presenting, because the golden intersection is precisely governed by those frequencies. For instance, today in the daily oracle, King 100 is the guide of the day, happens to be our guest also. So we are honored to have today the guiding power of the day as a guest in the broadcast. And that's the first golden section of the Tzolkin matrix, the first fifth of the 1320 matrix is Kin 100. The first eighth or octave of the Tzolkin matrix is Kin 160, and those 2 points, Kin 100 and Kin 160, are the two golden sections of that 13 column matrix. So since day one of this adventure, we have been really enjoying the auspicious company of the golden section in different layers of the system.
Yeah.
And today we have again that presence, and the next milestone that we explore was in the wave spell of the earth. Wave spells, was wave spell of the human at the 8th wave spell. Then on the 13th wave spell, which happens to be in the Fibonacci progression, 13 follows 8th. And in that cycle we have the synchronization of the golden section of the 13th moon year, the passing from the last day of the 5th moon to the first day of the 6th moon. So the first fifth of the year, we were closing that golden section of the 1328 year. And that was followed by the golden section of the 1320 matrix in the dream spell count again. This is important for people not to get confused. Today's Kin 160 or the equivalent Kin 160 on the ancient Maya count. And what we are going to highlight from now on is really that the golden intersection is basically this intersection between three calendrical systems. One is the ancestral Maya count. We know that their long count was very precise and goes back to 3113 BC. The other one is the Gregorian calendar, and the other one is the Galactic Maya count. Those are the three timelines: one from the past, one the current civil standard in the present, and one that comes from our future selves. That is probably going to give us the full spectrum of what is transpiring in the fabric of time, and the completion of those two golden sections, the golden section of the 13 moon year and the golden section of the 260-day count, was followed uh, in that same way spell by the completion of 16 Tzolkins from galactic synchronization and 12 years from the closing of the cycle on December 21st, 2012. So those two are probably the two most important thresholds or milestones within this entire 52-year timeline that goes from 1987 to 2039, and that we are here at the moment navigating year 37 of that entire 52-year timeline. So after galactic synchronization, on December 21st, 2012, we have been in a continuous process of synchronizing with different layers and different markers that are now compounding, and that as we reach this 260-day mark today, we are on the way spell of the warrior. That's why we had again here this current way spell, and in that corner we see again the golden intersection sign as the 2 days Kin 204 and Kin 205. That would be the two important days to hold space for this beautiful transformation to take place. So today we are gestating, incubating this idea and this possibility for humanity. So we give thanks for anyone who wants to join to the process of birthing this new point of harmony and resonance for the future. And we give thanks also to our guest today for giving us some insights on how to start to create space, sacred space for this sacred moment.
Beautiful, beautiful. So many points of resonance. Lots of things I could certainly share, but we're going to not take any more time. We want to bring Muhjah into the conversation so we can build with her together in the resonance of this collaborative experience here that we're endeavoring to. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. I also want to send a special shout out to folks in the live chat. Kwame Sunhorse, I see you. Glad to have you there, Baba. Delia Sky, thank you for being here from the beginning. And thank you for being the person who actually introduced Ruben and I many, many years
Yeah,
ago. We
yeah.
honor you and give great thanks. And to all of the kin showing up from around the world, some new faces and new names here as well. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you for staying tuned with us here in the Galactic Spin podcast. And as we have been speaking to, something very, very precious is underway right now. We have arrived to a hologram of sorts, a 260-day container. When we speak about the Tzolkin calendar, and you begin to appreciate its fractal nature, right? Meaning you can look at one of the kin as being a value of 20 years, or a cartoon, basically, thereabout, or you can look at one kin as being just one day, and both apply. And so, fractally speaking, this container is so expansive, and it is just so symmetrically perfect, as we have talked about, with where we see the points of resonance, the golden proportions, as they show up in that count of 260. We know that as of today, as of tonight, we're literally stepping into a new hologram. We've been preparing for this moment for a few years, in fact. We initially started keeping this count, making it conscious, when we were 1,440 days away from the golden intersection of timelines. So that's several hundred days that we've been keeping it up to now, and now we're just 260 days. And again, stepping into this very precious hologram is something to pay attention to. And whether we're conscious of it or not, synchronicity is always having its way. And as we become aware of the synchronicities, they just express the perfect nature of nature. And the simple fact that we do have Muhjah here tonight as a guest, and to be able to share some resonance with us in this space is really, really wonderful. And I want to go ahead and bring her on screen as we enjoin to, get a better sense of what this next 260 days may hold for us, by getting a sense of what Muhjah's up to with her respective service and contribution on the planet. And Dr. Muhjah Shakir, Kin 100, wonderful to have you, Mama Muhjah.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
What a real pleasure. And I've had the good fortune to get to know you over the past couple of years. We were introduced to each other several years ago, in fact, by Mama Audrey Scott Williams,
Right.
when we came to your home in Alabama, at Nature's Garden for Victory and Peace there in Tuskegee, Alabama.
That's
So
right.
shout out to Mama Audrey and to the community there with you. So how's everything going at this now moment? How are you feeling today?
I'm actually feeling really fine. I'm very excited, making me aware of the synchronicity of my kin in relationship to the time that we're in. Was pretty unexpected, really. I had not paid attention to it, but it's an affirmation. It's encouraging, and I'm just looking forward to what's next, what's going to come, and what it is that I'm called to do, and working hard to do it better.
For those just tuning in who may not have heard, Dr. Shakir's kin number is kin 100. And that number is very significant, as we're coming to find out. We didn't even know this when we scheduled with you to be on the podcast, but it's just another example of how synchronicity has its way with us, right? So we get the pleasure of sort of recognizing that together in real time. And I just learned also in the conversation, I had no idea that your kin was actually the kin of the day of the discovery of the solar maximum, that we had entered that cycle. So your kin, literally the solar sun, signals the solar maximum cycle that we're now navigating. That's
Amazing.
mind-blowing to me.
It is.
And so that means that when we were literally at that juncture, we were at the first golden ratio or golden proportion of the 260-day cycle, because that was kin 100. So your day is always that first golden intersection of that 260-day cycle. It's very auspicious.
Yeah.
So, and then again, just to note today, as was mentioned for those just tuning in, that kin 100 is the guide power for today. So today is the solar seed, kin 204, guided by the yellow solar sun, kin 100. And for people who do study the 13 moon calendar or do have an appreciation for the galactic Tzolkin or tools of this nature, you'll understand when we say the guide power, it's the energy at the north or the top position of the fifth force oracle, or the, I guess, medicine wheel, or different terms would apply, but it's the arrangement of the destiny kin in the middle, your kin 100, and then the other glyphs that are arrayed around that for each of the 260 kin. They're all arranged with that design, if you will, or that structure. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And today we are literally 260 days away from a day when you will be the guide power on the golden intersection of timelines. So not only are you coding the solar maximum, you are almost, it's like you're throwing a pass to yourself and you're catching it downfield, like days to come, 260 days time. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. It's really something. And
So I better
also, what's more,
together, huh?
well, no, but you are. This is the thing, and this is the beautiful thing about our brother Wanik in Atlanta. He always says you can't mess it up. So
Yeah.
your act is together. Let's
All I
just
gotta
start
do
at
is
that baseline. That's the baseline right now. Everything is perfect, actually, and we can't mess it up.
I
Even when we
receive.
mess it up, it's all good
Yeah.
because that had to happen.
Mm,
So something else could happen, and
yes.
everything happens for reasons we
It's
may or may not understand.
right. That's
And what's also interesting as I reflect on this means that because we're on 204 today, the announcement of the solar maximum was literally 104 days ago, which,
really good.
as we look at the numbers and the meaning of numbers, we know that the number 104, for example, has very specific resonance, 52 times 2. So 52 solar galactic cycle, like that count times 2 is 104. It's also the number of the Venus round.
Mm,
104 years of the Venus pentagonal cycle
wow.
takes 104 years to complete. And
Mm,
so there's really some auspicious arrangements at play. And because we are endeavoring to make sense of these things, we get the joy of actually seeing and perceiving
yeah.
the harmony. And that's its own reward in many cases.
Mhm.
That's why we're so devoted to this.
Mhm.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
So tell us a little bit about where you're from. Let's start there. Now, I
Mhm.
know you're not from Alabama originally, are you?
I'm not.
Okay.
I was born in Detroit.
Okay.
My parents moved from Alabama. They had grown up in Dallas County, which is the area that's Selma, that a lot of people are familiar with.
Yes.
But they moved to Detroit in the 40s, 1940 or so, during what we call the Second Great Migration. And my father and mother and my two elder sisters moved there when they were small children. And he began working at General Motors. And so I was born in Detroit and I lived there for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
I always had this kind of energy within me to discover new things. And I had a very close sister friend, Marcia, that was studying at Stanford University. And she had a daughter, and I had a daughter. And she said, well, you can come on out here. I was kind of ready for a change. So I moved to the Bay Area, and I lived in Oakland and Berkeley. And I worked in San Francisco, and I lived out there for 20 years. I did a lot of things while I was there. Um, as a part of my background, when I was 19 years old, still living in Michigan, I joined the Nation of Islam. So at a fairly young age, I think, I was already curious and searching for information and knowledge about, who are we, what are we supposed to be doing, what's going on. And that was a time period when there were so many active organizations of all types, but a lot were focused on, Black raising our awareness, some even seeking national recognition, like the Republic of New Africa. But I stayed in the Nation of Islam for about 10 years, and I think that a lot of what I learned there, has served me really well, because one of the things that I think is critically important for everyone, and more especially for people who seemingly are completely unaware, is the knowledge of yourself. And
Mm,
that was one of the things that Elijah Muhammad taught. And he said that we were the original people. And he talked about the deep roots and the cultural aspects, and reminded us of how we used to be, and what had happened over
mm,
a period of time where we kind of gave permission to go through these things that we've had to experience over the last several thousands of years.
mm,
And that was always a question in my mind. It's like, if the indigenous peoples of the world had so much knowledge, why haven't we been able to free ourselves?
mm,
And
mm,
so one of the responses was that we gave permission
mm,
to go to sleep in order to learn, sort of the shadow, the dark side.
mm.
So I'll stop there on that point. But just to give you a little bit of background, that I've been on this move, this trajectory, since I was a teenager, and even younger. I remember looking in the sky when I was 7 or 8 years old, just kind of wondering, like, what is all of this all about? Yeah. And I'm still doing
Yeah.
that. I was out there last night.
Wow. It's
Looking
funny
up into the
because
sky.
I was going to say last time I was at your home,
Mm,
when we had at the gathering with Redemption Voyage last year, I
Yes.
remember having that wonderful feeling of being out there. I was out there with Bodil, and we were looking at the night sky. I had just met Bodil at this time, and I was just entranced by the night sky out there at your place, because it's
Mhm.
just, there's no light pollution, there's nothing but you and the heavens.
That's
And it's
right.
just so spectacular. Alabama already has such a sublime feeling to me every time I'm in that area. I just feel it.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
just a beautiful essence you can
yeah.
feel. But I think it's beautiful. I mean, age 19, as you said, that's when you joined the Nation of Islam. 19 is a very powerful number as we talk about
mm, mm,
synchronicities. This year
Mm,
is coded by the number 19. The blue
yeah.
resonant storm is the 19th kin. I'm sorry, the blue rhythmic storm is the 19th kin. I wanted to ask you, so when you were in the proximity with the Nation of Islam, did you happen to encounter any of the teachings of Mother Tanetta Muhammad in terms of her interpretations of some of
Yeah.
these mystical
Yeah.
uh, worldviews, we could say? Yeah.
Yes. In fact, I paid closer attention to her in recent years. I mean, she's passed away now.
Yes.
mm,
She's an ancestor, but there's a wonderful video of her giving a talk
mm,
about woman, and how it is in alignment. That the cosmology is very much mimics the rhythms of the cycles and that sort of thing, and the importance of the role of woman. Yeah. Very powerful
Beautiful.
woman she is. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, she was responsible for bringing clarification to Dr. Jose Arguelles with regard to the 19 code,
mhm,
which actually led to the discovery of the law of time. There's a whole
Oh,
relationship where and it was kind of something kept more private when he was alive,
mhm.
because, stories I've heard intimated, some people may not have understood, but in his personal khalwa or sacred space, he kept a picture of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because
Yeah.
the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was very influential to him in terms of his
Mhm.
own self awareness, right? Knowledge of self.
Yeah.
Dr. Arguelles was absolutely affected by the presence and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as well as Mother Tanetta Muhammad's
Mhm.
clarification about the
Mhm.
application of the number 19. And there's a whole article.
I want to know about that.
There's
Yeah,
an
where I can
article.
see the article. Yeah.
I'll send you the PDF, but there's an article called 19 equals 260.
mm,
So it's very auspicious. Here we're talking about the number 19 and the year coded by 19, 260 days away from this auspicious intersection of energy. So again, these are
Mhm.
just markers showing up in real time that we're just,
Mm,
popcorn, having a conversation, and witnessing the handiwork
yeah.
of the Most High Creator. I love that. I love that.
I do too, and I think it's so important to know those intersections across cultural and geographic boundaries, because that's the energy of uniting, as one family.
Mm,
More especially the people of, of color, the people of, what they call the global South and South America
yes.
and Mexico and all of those places.
Mm,
We've got a lot of work to do, healing,
mhm.
but I feel that we're in an era now where things are happening really fast, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Very
Yeah.
fast.
I mean, we talk about this being the apocalypse, right? There's a lot of
Mhm,
things on the dashboard in the 3D that may appear to be apocalyptic. Now, the thing
mhm,
about it, though, is we hear the word apocalypse um, when we may interpret it, misinterpret rather its meaning, because it really means to reveal.
Reveal.
It's the revealing. So
reveal.
the veils are being ripped away. That's the apocalypse, and it's maybe the fact that an apocalyptic experience can be shocking. We relate it
Mhm,
as a negative thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
right.
An overwhelming negative thing. Oh, it's apocalyptic. I
Uh,
mean, living in California and sort of witnessing the physical mayhem left by these fires, it looks apocalyptic by all
it certainly
definitions, right?
does.
It's
It certainly
startling.
does.
It is also revealing things to us. I'm not going to go down
Yeah.
that rabbit hole about what's being revealed,
No,
but
it's
everybody knows
tempting
what
though.
it's tempting. People know what they know, and trust what you know. Trust what you
Right.
know. Like trust.
Yeah.
This is a time to trust yourself and to act from the heart. I wanted to circle back though to something you shared. I found was interesting about how you were tapping in with Mother Tanetta Muhammad in her teaching with regard to woman. And that's
Mhm.
actually fundamentally the 13 moon calendar is about us getting
Mhm.
reoriented
Mm-hmm.
to the
Yeah.
divine feminine
Okay.
nature
Mhm.
that we're all encoded with. We're all
Yes.
encoded by the Great Mother.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Right.
the artifice of this world, as it were, and these standards of domination, obviously, they have not been in favor of that public awareness being out
That's
there.
right.
Where in
That's
privacy, though, they worship the mother too. They surely
that's
do.
right.
They
They do.
know. They
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
know. They may not. They may want to
They
distract
keep
you
it
from knowing.
hidden. Yeah.
Exactly.
They have
They
that
can feel it.
Madonna. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
but again, with this theme of apocalypse and revealing, part of this
Hmm.
process is the revealing of, okay, the benefits for shifting our frame of reference for time, how we track time. When we look at a
Hmm.
13 moon 28-day frequency, that's automatically the fertility cycle. Inherent,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it's natural.
That's
That's
that's right.
our divine timing. If were it
That's
not for that,
right.
none of us would be here. And then this
That's right.
260-day cycle we look at is the gestation period, the average of
Yeah.
the gestation of a human in the womb.
That's
So
right.
we say today something has effectively been conceived over this
Hmm.
past few days with this planetary
Hmm.
alignment and parade that was initiated on January 10th, that's now ongoing. Something was conceived, I believe, in our collective consciousness. And we're
Hmm.
now entering this window where it's going to be birthed. So
Hmm.
that gestation cycle culminates on
Right.
10204 October 14th, 2025.
Uh-huh.
And so just positing that, making that conscious is just something we want to share with people. And somebody like you have a beautiful community down there in Alabama. You all are doing really incredible things. You know, from the Cultural Arts Festival that I had the chance to help support you all with this past autumn, which was amazing, the eighth
Hmm.
annual of that amazing event, and the
Right.
ongoing things. You have food security, like an emphasis on that, getting people to
Mhm.
grow food,
That's right.
return to the earth in a variety of
Hmm.
ways. I,
Hmm.
I'm interested to know
Hmm.
what was your inspiration to even return to the land like that, to return to the earth and create this haven.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I mentioned that I moved out to California and I did live out there for 20 years. I never intended to stay that long, but, as, life will sometimes throw you different curveballs. But I enjoyed the 20 years that I was there, and I did a lot of things while I was out there. But I reached a point where, well, I had done work to free political prisoners also while I was working. We had our own business. We had a boutique that was called the Urban Village. It was also a meeting space for people in the community. But we sold beautiful clothing from around the world and jewelry. And after 20 years, like I said, I never intended to stay there as long as I did. But at a point, and I think it was the influence of the Republic of New Africa about the 5 states. And I wanted to move to the Southeast. And I made a list of the places that I might want to go to, and Alabama was number 5 on the list. um, but one day I was looking through the Journal of Occupational Therapy, and I just saw an ad in the paper for a professor, someone to teach occupational therapy at Tuskegee University. So I applied for the job, and they invited me to come for an interview. And they gave me the offer even before I left. And before I accepted the job, my very, very good friend, Nasheed, also known as Baba Kolioso, God bless him, he is an ancestor now. But he too, we met in college when we were 19, and he was the one who sort of brought me into the Nation of Islam. But he went on to become a Babulao in the Yoruba tradition. He also became a pipe carrier. I mean, he was, somebody that was really searching. He went through initiations of all types. But I had him do a reading before I accepted the position, and he told me that it was a very strong reading, and that if he were me, he would come. He said that the ancestors called me to come to Alabama. So I came. I was obedient. I came. So I worked at the university for about 17 years, but I always had this idea in my head of wanting to create something special that I thought could have some impact. And I felt like, well, if we can't have a nation, if we can't build our own nation, maybe we can build a community, And so at a point, I was getting closer to retirement. And for probably the first 15 years, I sort of lost track of this vision that I had of moving to the Southeast and building an institution, which is what I had in my mind. I got into the teaching mode and kind of put it to the side. And then I finally realized that I had created a vision board, and on the vision board, I asked, where do I want to be in 5 years? And I was still in Cali then. I said, I want to move to the Southeast, buy some land or get some land and build an institution. And God be my witness, in 5 years, just through word of mouth, I started asking people about properties. I did not go to a real estate office. I asked this woman, until this day, I call her my angel, because I said to her, I'm looking to buy a house. She said, what do you want? What kind of place do you want? I said, well, I want to be around a lot of trees, and I want it to have some water on it. And so she took me to 2 places. And the second place I liked the most, but it was a house that was in very, very bad condition. It was in foreclosure. And she said, I think it has 15 acres. And I was so excited about that, the 15 acres. So I saw the house, and it was in bad, bad, bad condition. But there were 3 rooms that were at least we could occupy, myself, my daughter, my firstborn daughter, and my grandson. So we moved in, and so I was still working at the university. So every year that I got my tax return, I was just putting it into the house, until we were finally able to get it, where we were happy, and we had to completely gut out the kitchen. And so we continued to work like that. And then in 2018, we got our nonprofit status. I had gone to one of the museums on campus that honors the work of George Washington Carver. And I saw there a bulletin. He used to publish these bulletins about to the people that lived in the rural areas. And he was teaching them about agriculture and how to do things as it pertained to growing different kinds of crops. As people probably know that he was a multi-genius and almost like a saint because he never married and he was just so loved by so many people of all races that knew of the great things and the great work that he was doing. But I looked at that bulletin that he wrote in 1942, and the name of it was Nature's Garden for Victory and Peace. And I resonated with the name so much. And it was at that moment that I said, when we build this institution, I would like to name it Nature's Garden for Victory and Peace. And I love the word nature and I love the word victory because, I had come from this kind of revolutionary background, even though I never used any weapons or anything like that. But, I was around a lot of people who did, and paid the price for a lot of things as well. But at any rate, the word victory really resonated very profoundly with me because we want to win, right? We want to restore ourselves and we want to reclaim our heritages and our dignity, and we want to be a whole and full and complete people. So that's what the victory represented. And then we want peace. And so those are softer words than some of the revolutionary, jargon that we often use. So that's how we got the name, and I've told you how we came about the land. And so we've been going about this very slowly. We've made a lot of progress in the last few years, but we still have a lot to do. So, like our major emphasis is first and foremost on, what people refer to as food sovereignty. And we know the history of the Black farmers, particularly, through slavery and then through the disenfranchisement in recent years around the Black farmers not getting equal treatment and just everything just kind of dissipating, working the land and growing food. I think all indigenous people know how intense that labor is, and it used to be where you could have your whole family out there and, groups of people would work together. We've lost a lot of those traditions. And so it's hard work. But we are finding more and more that the urban gardeners around the country, both in places like the LA area, Detroit, Chicago, New York, the urban gardeners are really, and they tend to be younger people too, are picking up the mantle and realizing the absolute centrality of being able to feed ourselves. I saw one little slogan that said, "There's no culture without agriculture."
Baba Oduno Tariq from
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. Yeah, that's his quote.
Is that his?
Baba Oduno. Yeah. That's when I
So
was
we're
at Howard
involved.
University, I learned that.
We're involved in growing food. In a lot of ways, we still need a lot of help, a lot of support, but we do plant a garden every year. We start putting our seeds in trays in the spring and planting in late spring, early summer. And we intend to build up on that even more. Another one of our projects, of course, we actually want to build a total of 14 houses on on a 25-acre plot that we have put into a community land trust. And I'm not sure, but I've been intending to look to see that we may be the first community land trust in the state. I'm not sure of that though, but you know, I know we would be for the what they call the 13 Black Belt counties in Alabama. So there are these Black Belt counties and also Black Belt states that represented where the majority of our ancestors, when they were brought from Africa, that they lived in these 5 states, which included Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. And those were the 5 states that the Republic of New Africa wanted to say was our like a national territory. That if we couldn't get along with the Americans, that we should be left alone and allowed to, as a form of reparations, and given some support. Of course, there's still people, struggling and fighting for that. You know, how far it'll go, we don't know. But anyway, back to the building of Nature's Garden includes sustainable development. We'd like to see all of the homes affordable. We'd like to see them built with some aspects of indigenous building. We recently, well, last year, we put a beautiful yurt on the property, and just the round structure when you go in it, it's just such an amazing energy that you feel just by being in a round structure. And so we have that, and we're using that space as a center for transformative learning and change. So we have dialogues in there, like the indigenous people would sit and talk and talk and talk and couldn't till you couldn't talk anymore.
There you go. There
Uh,
you
yeah, and we need that because our minds have just been so tampered with, and so many of the things that people have come to really believe in are not in alignment with the core values of indigenous people. And I think that the people of African descent, the indigenous peoples of America, when you look at the cultures, they're not that different. The use of the dancing around the fires, the feathers, the headdresses, even some of the clothing, um, and also the respect, for elders, the respect for children, the respect for life itself, even the insects. So that's part of our vision, is that we want to live that way. So in our building and construction, we are not only concerned with the design of the spaces, but we're wanting to, we've already done one installment of solar energy on the property. And we'd like to get involved with water catchment, as well as waste management. We already do composting and things like that. So it's not like we're going back. We are kind of going back, but with a modern twist to how we live. And so we've been thinking about this, and many people have thought about this. There are other groups of people who live this way and are striving to live this way. But in so many ways, we have to relearn. We have to relearn because we've been so indoctrinated by another mindset that is extractive. It's always looking to capitalize off of labor, off of everything. I mean, sometimes when you just think about, there was a time when you didn't have, the land was, you didn't own land, you know. So the notion of doing a land trust is probably the closest thing that we can do or get to that becomes more like our nature, like our real nature. You don't, the collective group at least has land stewardship responsibilities over this particular parcel of land. So we want to incorporate a value system. We're very, very value based. We'd be looking for people who share those similar values. And all of the values are just based in very basic, practical things. We want to be able to sit in circles and talk about the things that we might disagree on. We know that there will be lots of disagreements, but we know also that through our good efforts, drawing on lessons already learned, that we can at least come to some kind of meeting of the minds and some kind of understanding. And for me, in a lot of ways, that's the hardest part of our work because of the way that the minds have been so disturbed, and the wrong way seems right to so many people. And you can really, even the way you try to explain things sometimes can be problematic. People are very sensitive to the use of certain words also, that so we really have to learn how to talk to each other all over again. But I find it pretty exciting and kind of an interesting experiment if people would at least commit to staying in the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go away, don't get angry and leave and not come back, that kind of thing. So the arts are also very important. I know that you all talk about art in relationship to time, but even before I became aware of that, as an occupational therapist, the kind of work that we do is about meaningful activities, engaging people in meaningful activities in order to restore them. And so I was thinking about art from the standpoint of the art of communications, the art of personality, culinary arts. And of course, you have your visual arts and your fine arts. Building and construction is an applied art. And it's like everything is art. And so now I understand more profoundly why it's spoken of as art as time. And would one of you want to expound on that?
I'll just reflect that, yeah, it's the juxtaposition of this idea that time is money. So
Mhm.
that's the dominant sort of perspective, from the artifice of the Gregorian calendar sort of world culture. And in contrast to that, time is art. And that's taken as actually a mathematical equation. When we say time is art, it's literally presented as a mathematical equation. T, meaning time factored by energy, equals art or beauty. Or in other words,
Mhm.
synchronicity. Whenever synchronicity is enacted upon anything of the material world, the outcome is beauty. And that's what
Mhm.
basically the statement means. Time is art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling you the truth. I never read that anywhere. I never knew that. And I came up with a very similar definition about time. I mean, about art
Well, you're Kin
being.
100, so I'm not surprised. You are the angle and a reflection of the elegance of art. It's just in your number. You can't help it.
Yeah.
Inherent. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more too, just about the intergenerational quality, because I know you have an intergenerational community. I've
Mhm.
seen several pictures, and you've done the festivals in the autumn, and it's just always nice
Mhm.
to see such a range of age, and
Yeah.
and the transfer of knowledge and information and sharing, and
Mhm.
just from what I can tell from the media I've seen, it just seems
Yeah.
very, very, very precious. Yeah, talk about that a
Yes.
little bit.
Well, living in Tuskegee while I was teaching at the university, and I had come from Cali, and I already had sort of a background of, social justice advocacy, and um, interest in deep roots and culture. So a lot of the students that were like vibing around that were attracted to me, and I started a group that was we called it the Black Belt Deliberative Dialogue Group, and I mentioned about the Black Belt counties in Alabama. There are 13 Black Belt counties, and they're all in rural areas, far more rural than where I live. And a lot of those areas don't have, adequate grocery stores or, um, public spaces for shopping and that kind of thing. Um, but so we called it the Black Belt Deliberative Dialogue Group. I had studied that in my graduate studies at the California Institute of Integral Studies, and so we learned about the ways in which you can get organized through using dialogue. And the end of the dialogue, you should have a list of action items. So I was able to attract, it was about 15 students that came and became a part of that organization. And so for about 5 years, we held probably at least 3 to 4 community dialogues in the community, and it was pretty transformative. And it wasn't until once I retired, I didn't have that same connection with the young people. But some of them, I've also had students living in the house here, which had worked out pretty good. In fact, I have one person living in the house now, um, that's a student. And so, working with the students is very, very important. They were thirsty. They liked it. I've had many of them tell me that it changed their life, because this process of learning how to sit in the circle and listen to one another, um, it is powerfully transformative. It's not an argument. And you got to have, it's not just talk, just empty talk. You got to have the action items at the end, like, what are we going to do? So yeah, we continue to try to attract young people. We have another part of our community is a women's group that we call the Inside Out Sister Circle. And so that the work has to be done from the inside, then out. And we have a quarterly gathering. And just yesterday, I intentionally invited two young women to become a part of the planning of that, because the other three, Audrey's a part of the planning group, and another woman named Reverend Jaquetta Parhams, myself, and Norma Jackson, Iyabade, you know her as well. The four of us do the coordination of this, but we were only attracting women our age. So it became clear to us that we needed to get some young women involved, because we've got to pass the baton. We've got to prepare them to step into their leadership, and we want to pour into them all that we have, that we've come to know and believe, so that they can continue that work. So yeah, that's very central. It's one of our pillars, as a matter of fact, the importance of intergenerational um, work. And at the same time, it's challenging. In recent years, I've run into challenges, particularly one of the things that I think that I was raised up where we didn't talk back to our mothers or our father, you know. Um, and then that has been deepened with me in my relationship to African culture and traditions. They say that in Nigeria, people, they prostrate to the elders, the living ones, and so while I know that we're far from that, I'm proud to be an elder, and I was installed as a queen mother, and I mean, I can hang out and have a good time with young people, but I won't tolerate disrespect, and so that's not easy for young people who grew up talking back to their mothers. So those are some of the challenges that we still face, that we want to have some time to sit in circle and really talk about that, and invite somebody that's neutral to come and give a perspective um, on that. Because one thing that I read or heard was that one of the reasons, well, it's obvious why you want to respect an elder, because they've lived longer and they have life experiences. They're closer to the next world, you know, and it's like a baby. When the baby is born, they are just coming from that world, and so they are given special treatment and special care. And wow, I mean, like, the world is orbiting around this new life. And so those are the kinds of things that I believe in wholeheartedly with every fiber of my being. But then I have to recognize that I'm in a situation where others may not. And so I continue to work to try to find ways to not be off putting or too rigid, to be more understanding, but at the same time, I have to, stand on the square. So yeah, working with young people is critically important. Um, and we'll continue to do that and even do more of it because I do want to really, I mean, I enjoy this work, I really really do, and I'll do it for as long as as long as I'm able to do it. I still have a lot of life in me, but I do want to be able to pass the baton, and to not be able to do that would be like not good, not good at all. So, this community development model that we are creating would be a model that could be replicated because we're recording our practices. We're writing down. We have a concept guide of who we are, what we believe, what it is that we're doing, what our major emphasis are. And we would be willing to share it with anybody who would like to be, to have it, because, we believe that people copy bad, but people will copy good also. And so it's very, very important that we do whatever it is that we can do to leave some of these models and to create these models. And as you all have been discussing about the time that we're living in, it's a time of great change. And every day, I mean, it snowed here today before in Louisiana. I think that we're frozen. Okay. So, we see all these radical things happening, and we know that we need to prepare for it, you know. And so we keep saying we need to get this, we need to get that, So as a collective, we also have a group that's forming a cooperative now. Frozen.
It's okay. I think it's just going in and out a bit. Oops, I think we lost Muhjah. Looks like we lost Muhjah there momentarily. Ruben, you still with me?
Yes, I can
Oh,
hear you.
okay, great, great. We'll wait for Muhjah to come back in, but this has been really, really great. I'm really enjoying the
Yes.
sharing here. Let's pull her back in the conversation. One moment. Okay, let me make sure I pull in the right one. All right, here we go. Okay, there we go, Mama Muhjah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Do you have any other questions?
Well, I'm just really grateful for you sharing some time space with us. And as you're talking, what is occurring to me, as we've been saying, we're entering this hologram, this window, this container over these 260 days. And I'm excited to see how you, with your awareness of this now, apply the opportunity, because we've identified this window as a golden opportunity. There's
Mhm.
unprecedented harmony that wants to be made conscious. And that's really what's online for us right now. And as we have community, we have family, even within ourselves, we're all being invited to, as you're saying, sit in circle, sit
Mhm.
both within the circle of your own soul, your own heart, but then also in the collective with others, and ground. And as you said, also listen, receive,
Mhm.
be receptive, and also be principled. Also
Yes.
know what you're not willing to take. And that's kind of the difference right now, where free will really does matter, because there's a lot of the go along to get along mentality that seems to pervade the culture right now. And so people are
Hmm.
willing to compromise their values just to get along, perceiving that somehow they're going to make the next advance or make it through the next quarter, or whatever the motivation is, financial or otherwise, the
Hmm.
go along to get along mentality. But I got to
Mhm.
say, that's not necessarily the avenue to take right now. You'd be wise to not necessarily go along to get along,
That's
and
Mhm.
perhaps stand, as you say, in your principles, and know your boundaries, know your
right,
worth, you know,
right.
and
Yeah.
certainly not let that be defined by these external forces or systems.
Yeah. And, understanding my Ken 100 is also very affirming. Um, that I think it's that something about the intellect, the power of the sun, and performing purposeful actions, and um, representing completion and wholeness. All of
Mhm.
these things, it's like, I mean, when people find out their kin, it's really a nice affirmation, and you see a lot of truth in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely true, and yeah, so many beautiful things revealed, and just again grateful for your presence and knowing that you're anchoring this light and this sacred container at
Mhm.
Nature's Garden for victory and peace. And I'm excited to encourage people to visit your website, ngvp.org.
Mm-hmm.
We want to encourage people to visit your website, get in touch, visit
Mm-hmm.
your social media platforms. You're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, you have a YouTube channel. I've noticed a couple of YouTube channels out there.
Mm-hmm.
So you are definitely accessible, and we want to encourage people to be in touch if they're resonating with what they're hearing tonight and learning.
I hope so. We are also going to be opening up our membership. Even though our intentions is to build 14 houses, we would also have membership for residential people living on the land, but also membership for people who are not residential but want to support, and that when they visit, there'll be special perks and opportunities for them.
Mhm.
We have a space of 5 acres where there will be a retreat center, and the vision is to build so that we can sleep at least 80 people, and that's a space where people can come and utilize the space for their own conferences or their own gatherings and meetings of that nature. And we're really excited. We continue to be very excited.
Are you all doing any sweat lodges? I know I've seen pictures of Kwame
Yeah,
Sunhorse helping kind of build the lodge there on the grounds.
right. Yeah, we've done several of them.
Beautiful.
But And so Kwame, when I spoke to him just a few days ago, he told me that he had trained a couple of people, and that there's someone that he was going to sure that I could meet, because he's like stepping out of that line of business. But he'll
Okay.
be coming, and I hope that you all will come at the same time so that we can really have some special circle time together. And
Mhm.
Ruben, I would love to see you here as well.
Of course.
There, you would be so welcome. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time and your presence and your contributions toward the collective. It certainly matters. I know I did want to mention one thing. A couple of interesting things came up the past 7 days. We do the Earth's Pulse. We look at what's happened. And over the past 7 days, or maybe the past 2 weeks, um, Joe Biden, on his way out,
Mhm.
gave clemency posthumously to Marcus Garvey, which we thought was
Yes.
quite an interesting thing. I didn't know that actually until Kwame Sunhorse brought that to my attention. I hadn't heard it yet, but then he
Mhm.
shared with me like an ABC News clip. So I'm like, oh wow, they really did that. They really
Right,
went there. So, I mean, obviously 102 years too late, but nevertheless,
right,
the
right,
fact that it actually indicated the
right.
completion of a cycle, and
Mhm.
also the being returned home with Leonard
Dinner
Peltier,
here.
which I
That's
know with
right.
your work with the
Yeah,
political prisoners,
yeah.
that certainly is in the same strata right there. And I
It
was also,
certainly,
yeah,
it certainly is, and we so enjoyed the camaraderie with our what they call themselves, the North American anti-imperialists. Those were
mhm,
the white folks.
okay,
But they were living in California. We often went down to um, what's the city that's right near Tijuana? Um,
Oh, San Diego, or
no,
or
isn't there another one that's right on the border of Tijuana?
uh,
Anyway, I could remember that, the group of people, the New Africans and the anti-imperialist people,
yeah.
we went there several times for demonstrations
Hmm.
near the border. So that work too was always a work that brought the family
Hmm.
together, you know.
Hmm.
And I met some profoundly anti-racist people doing that work.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Lots,
like
lots, lots of them out here.
John Brown's
Yeah, like that level of
and
commitment.
pay
Yeah,
price, people
yeah,
like.
yeah. The big,
Mm,
the ultimate price.
mhm,
And I was just reflecting, having when I first met you, as I mentioned with Mama Audrey years ago, I
mhm,
was there because of Sekou Kambui, who had just been
mhm.
released after being in prison for 40 years.
Mm.
Right.
And so we were there together in your home. And this is, I
That's
think,
right.
as I don't know if your nonprofit had already begun at that point. This might have been
No,
just prior to you all getting your
well,
nonprofit.
you saw the house when it was
Yeah,
still right. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. I think we were there just right, kind of at the very beginning. You were just in the beginning process of getting things
Mhm.
together. And
Yeah,
I've had a chance to see it over the years, and it's remarkable, and
coming
so
along.
it's beautiful. And I look forward to being there in person and bringing the family out there and getting Ruben up there and
Of
pulling
course.
some pulling some folks from Atlanta. We got a lot of folks in the Atlanta area who would want to know about what you're doing. I mean, there's a lot of overlap there. So,
Yeah, yeah.
however we
And
can help
when
to.
people come from the cities, they just can't believe it. And I can relate to it because I had never smelled fresh air before.
Mm,
When I came and one morning I opened the window and the air came, and I was like, that's the first time I smelled fresh air. Living in big cities, you don't smell fresh air.
yeah, you don't know what
And
you're smelling.
I mean, and when I have visitors that come from the cities, they just,
Mm,
they're just besides themselves.
yeah.
They
Mm.
just love it.
Mm,
They love being around in the rural environment,
yeah.
and I can understand why.
It's precious. It's precious.
Mhm.
So as we approach this next 260 days, I'm excited to see what sorts of things you create there,
Mm.
because the
Thank
best is
you
yet to
so
come,
much.
without a
Thank you
doubt.
so much. Thank
Without a
you.
doubt. We give great thanks to you, and yeah, we wish you well, and let's certainly have you in touch with us here on this podcast again.
Well, and
And we'll
this is a great show that you all have put together. This
Oh,
podcast.
thank you so much.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I'll be
appreciate that.
sharing. You'll send me the link. I'll
Sure.
be sharing. Well, you sent me all of them. I'll send that to
Yeah.
all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, the playlist, exactly. Well, we appreciate love you helping spread the word and sharing the good energy out there with everybody.
Where are
Yes.
you, Ben? Where are you located?
I'm right now in Mexico. In this is we are recording from Colima. There
Oh,
is a big volcano here, but I
yeah.
have been traveling. We do this work from wherever we are, and very honored to be here in Mexico, where this all this information about time is really anchored,
Oh,
and so honored to have you speak today and give us ideas and inspiration on how this is really a time to come in community and look for the others, look for those who are the family, spiritual family who can resonate with a new world, a new earth, and have the not only 2 days of community celebration, but
mhm.
really a long term process of building community that I
Yes.
guess with all the big changes and rapid shifts that are happening,
Mhm.
uh, sitting around the circle and sharing the word and sharing our humanity is what will bring us out of the conundrum that we are in right now. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for creating
Thank
that container for setting the example.
Thank you so much, and we look forward to your visit. You're so welcome.
Thank you so
Anytime.
much.
Mm.
Mhm.
Well, absolutely. Thank you. And we will be in touch with you momentarily. Feel free to hang out with us and stay tuned. But I also know it's getting pretty late on your side over there. So
Okay,
I
for
want to
2 hours.
respect your
Yes,
time. Thank you so much for hanging
yes,
out with us tonight.
Thank you
We, we,
so much,
we appreciate
Mikuak.
you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Pleasure is ours. And we
Okay.
will talk with you soon. Okay.
Ashe.
In
Ashe.
Lakesh, Asheo. One love. Wonderful, wonderful exchange there, and I'm
mhm,
definitely I'm learning so much, and so many wonderful things. Also to hear some of the challenges as well. I think that's also important to
yes,
level set and hear everything, the scope of the range of things happening. But certainly, big love to Mama Muhjah and to all the community there at Nature's Garden for victory and peace in Tuskegee, Alabama.
mhm,
ngvp.org. That's ngvp.org. So we encourage you to visit the website, leave a message on the contact form, or check out the social media to be in touch with Mama Muhjah. And of course, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to connect you. Info at theharmonicfactor.com. We'll be happy to connect the dots if you heard something that inspired you here this evening.
mhm,
And again, thank you to all the wonderful activity from our relatives. We have Efren checking in, Kin161, holding down the other portion of the golden intersection,
mhm.
of that balance in the Tzolkin. So grateful for him and his resonance on the planet doing big things. So we're very grateful for that. And the many other relatives hanging out here in our live chat. As everybody's been hearing us talk about, I mean, we have stepped into this new 260-day container,
Mhm,
and it's it's quite remarkable that we are finally here. And I
mhm,
feel like we've literally, as of today, stepped across a threshold into a completely new field of resonance. I don't know how else to put it in words. The words are really kind of escaping me, frankly. It's really
yes.
beyond words. It's in the subtle, but it's very, very, very powerful. And I want to give a special shout out again to Ishel and Alejandra for all of their tireless efforts in
Mm,
helping us meet the goal line of having aspects of our presentations ready for today to meet the marker, to meet the
mhm,
260-day countdown in such a good way. So we're super, super blessed for that. And with that, in the spirit of what is next, we want to showcase a little bit here
mhm,
the website that we've got. You might have already visited theharmonicfactor.com. We added a new page for the golden intersection. So if you go to theharmonicfactor.com/golden intersection,
mm,
golden dash intersection to be exact, you will come to this page that you see here on your screen. And so we wanted to show you this new page. Again, shout out to Ishel on the design effort and really pulling this beautiful representation together. And as you can see here, we want to encourage you to save the date. We want to
mhm,
encourage you to make conscious this auspicious event, October 14th and 15th, 2025. When the
mm,
Lillian count reaches the sequential number 161802 and 803 days,
mm,
October 14th and 15th. It's a very important intersectional point of resonance, of harmonic resonance. And we're just going to give you a little preview here of the website. And I want to invite you, Ruben, to go ahead and narrate as we kind of navigate this here.
Yes, well, we wanted to really create like a hub for anyone to go and really find the essence of what this alignment is. So we did our best to break it down in simple components. So there are four harmonic factors that create or make this they a unique opportunity. These four main aspects are related to the fact that this is a once in a lifetime event that will not repeat ever. Second is a spiral vortex of energy because of the presence of the golden ratio and the golden proportion all around the different markers, the convergence of these markers. And the third aspect is that seems to be an extension or a reverberation of the energy of 2012, the shift of the ages. We are basically right now undergoing that massive shift that we entered. It's just that as we complete 13 years from crossing that threshold, we will feel more of the compounding aspects of it. In this calendrical alignment is the really the presence of numerical markers that are even connected to this harmonious system like the Gregorian calendar, connecting it in a harmonious way. That's why we actually say that the synchronic order and the cycles of natural time, the mathematics of the ancient Maya, are so elegant and so robust that they are actually able to absorb this harmony of embedded into this Gregorian calendar and making a work of art out of this convergence of cycles. So we invite everyone who wants to know the basics or the essence of the principles behind this date, the harmonic principles that are sustaining this date as the probably the point of most harmonic resonance after December 21st, 2012, and galactic synchronization of July 26, 2013. This is the closest resonance to that vibration that we are going to meet in a while. And it's part of a larger process also that we we really present in detail on a new article in Medium. So on the website, we are going to have like a small synthesis of the basic principles. But in order to get the full story, you can go to Medium. We prepared a couple of days ago the full report, including these milestones that we briefly touched today. But the idea is that we start to get familiar with those aspects that are making out of this day an exceptional moment of synchronization that will never ever take place again, and that the more conscious we arrive to this point in time, the more we can enjoy the benefits of the intrinsic harmony that is vibrating in the background of everyday reality. Because this is not something. This discovery is not something that is small. Is when we really allow some time to read each of the seven synchronizations that are taking place, we can appreciate that the probabilities of this happening by chance are very, very small. And there is a larger intelligence connecting all these cycles and all these markers into a larger pattern, and we give thanks, yeah, to Shell for the website, and to you, Maku, also for working on the article to make it digestible in this form. And this is, of course, a work in progress. We are intending also to have for the next 7 days the roadmap, which is the ephemeris, ready, so that we can have like as a companion guide to go through this journey of 260-day journey to the golden intersection, and that we can in that guide learn more about the harmonic principles and the points of resonance with the golden proportion, the golden number that are taking place in these 260 days. So, if you want to go and explain a little bit more, if I forgot anything, please go ahead, brother.
No, I think you've covered it pretty well. I think again we want to encourage people to visit the website, theharmonicfactor.com. Take your time. It's obviously a lot of detail, a lot of information, but once you start to see the pattern, it's going to click. It's going to really make sense because again we're witnessing and observing, in many cases, recurring patterns largely. But then what's so unique about this event is that this particular intersection will only ever happen once.
Hmm.
So that's why we have really put so much energy into bringing this to people's awareness, because it's something we don't want the human species to not be aware of or to have heard of just only after the fact. But we really want to identify that critical mass of people who are willing to enter this hologram with us and hold space.
Yeah,
It's really about holding loving space. That's really the mandate, if you will, is to hold
yeah.
loving space at this time. It's no force or pressure to do anything specifically, just simply be
Mm,
love. Just be
mm,
love. Hold
mm.
loving space. Be in your heart, hold loving space. However that manifests and resonates with you, that will be the perfect expression. It's not about comparison or, any of those kinds of things. Just be um, in love with yourself. Love yourself. Uh, Genuinely love yourself, as far as that's concerned.
Yes, yes, and especially in times like the times we are living, in which there is so much uncertainty, so much volatility, so much polarity also in the field. So really holding that space of harmony and being present to everyday life and creating sacred space and sacred time with those around us is certainly the main message behind this alignment. And of course this is an opportunity to really reconnect also with the original vibration of the harmonic convergence. It has that overtone of an opportunity to come together and gather in a circle, like our guest today had the opportunity to share in a circle and create harmony in whatever shape, way, or form we feel inspired. This is really another opportunity that life is offering us to be part of this amazing symphony that is life, and that in 260 days is going to allow us to experience uh, one moment and one type of event that will never ever repeat again, and that really makes this an invitation to prepare our bodies, our minds, our hearts in the best possible way. This is, of course, a good time to really let our imagination run wild and connect with our highest dreams and plan those dreams today in the field, because that's what we intend to uh, cultivate or harvest in 260 days when we gather around the circle, or when we gather with our families in nature, with our loved ones, or whatever we feel inspired to do on this most harmonious day. So thank you so much, brother, for the opportunity. For people who want to know more, also there is a section at the end that we are going to be adding a press release and and documents that will make this as easy as possible to get the scale of what is happening and to present it in a way that is easy for people to share and comment and and let other people know what is happening.
Absolutely. So we do encourage you to visit the website, theharmonicfactor.com, and go to the menu item in the menu bar above that says Golden Intersection. And that's where you'll find these details. And also, if you hover on the images or you click on them, you'll find the light box will really reveal the high resolution versions of the images you see along the right-hand side, so that you can read each of the 7 points and really appreciate the infographic that goes along with it to get a better feel for what we're presenting here. And you'll see the code of the for a how and its role as the beginning and the ending of time, as it turns out, as it was the signature in the traditional Mayan long count, as Ruben mentioned, August 13th minus 3113 BC. It also happens to be the same daykeeper on October 14th, 2025. And as you can see, these are really rich graphics with a lot of data. And take your time with it. And again, it may look like code in a foreign language until you really begin to appreciate what you're seeing. And if you have any questions along the way of your study, always feel free to reach out to us. We're accessible. info@theharmonicfactor.com. That is info@theharmonicfactor.com. It's our responsibility, for example, to explain to you or help you get clarity about what, for example, the galactic spiral density wave in 2012 is all about, and how that is coming around in the current timeline when we complete those 31 of those 144-day cycles on October 14th, 2025. And there's a reason that shows up. There's a reason why we are emphasizing the banner of peace, and it's ubiquitous throughout this work, and that's because it is a frequency that precedes the 13 moon calendar change peace movement and was adopted by that movement to really reflect the fact that Earth is a work of art and that we want to protect the sacred during times of war and conflict. So Earth is similarly one of those artistic treasures that we are compelled to protect by presenting the banner of peace, which is the emblem for protecting the antiquities and those aspects of the inheritance of the human family that, when lost, can never be regained. And art is among them. And so we treasure the earth as art, as sacred art. And here's the segment Ruben mentioned here on the website where you can deepen your understanding. You'll find the Medium article that goes in depth into explaining the significances of this monumental, unique event. We also have a press release that is meant to just help the public become aware of this event and how they can become involved, what they may be encouraged to do. We also have a white paper that will be coming soon. The effort here is to basically present the information on the basis of fact around which it is based, to share this discovery with people from various sectors, be it academia, be it culture, be it the sciences, or spirituality, or any particular space from where somebody may be coming. The white paper is really intended to help distill the information, make it very, very plain, very clear on the basis of fact. And of course, thank you for all those tuning in. Today is episode 17 of the Galactic Spin podcast. You can find the playlist at the link there as well, where you can view past episodes of the podcast, check out some of our previous guests, and keep in tune for what's coming up in the future. And we're going to continue to hold this frequency and this pulse in the coming moons. And you can always sign up for updates to stay tuned and visit us on all of our social media platforms. I think right now, I don't know if we're displaying, I see we are. If you want to follow us on Instagram, I'm going to encourage people to find us at Golden Intersection.
Mhm.
And if you're Spanish speaking, we just launched the Spanish speaking IG account today, goldenintersection.es. And that's for Espanol, goldenintersection.es. That will be the IG for the Spanish language promotions of the Golden Intersection of Timelines event and anything connected to that. So
Mhm.
we currently don't have the Harmonic Factor on Instagram as it is, but
Mhm.
we certainly just want you to encourage you to follow us on Golden Intersection, either the Spanish.es or just the English Golden Intersection on Instagram. And so I think that covers most of it. Of course, it's just always a blessing to be able to come together in the space like this and share and continue to presence this information. We know every effort has its impact and its ripples, and
Mhm.
we're also in that window where things are being compounded at an
Mhm.
accelerated rate. So I certainly feel that in the next 7 days we're going to be having a completely new conversation based
Mhm.
on all the other things happening in the 3D and beyond that we are here to witness and observe and hold space for.
Yes,
So
whole space. Yeah,
what a journey.
yeah. I guess that this year, 2025, with everything that is transpiring on the planet, is certainly going to be a memorable one. And
Mm,
having the golden intersection in that. At this crucial point is certainly confirming that when the date was revealed 7 years ago, it was having this moment of convergence of timelines uh, very, very clear. Since then, it was clear that this was going to be a momentous time for humanity, and so we feel so honored just to be here and 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 perceive it in real time, how it reveals, how this great revealing that you mentioned at the beginning of the episode is unfolding. So we give thanks.
always, we truly do. So, giving thanks to everybody tapping in with us tonight. We encourage you again to visit us at theharmonicfactor.com. Also, be sure to check out I don't have the image up, but you can certainly find links for our petition, the ongoing online petition for Calendar Referendum Initiative 2028, which will still be ongoing once we reach this marker in October. Obviously, this work continues, although I have a feeling we will be feeling like a mutated species
Hmm.
as we're navigating this phenomenal transition and doing so consciously. So stay connected with each other, stay connected to the source, and stay in your heart. Trust your
Yes,
gut.
yes.
Drink plenty of water. Stay hydrated. Get
Yes.
out and move your body if and when you can, as much as possible, and take some time over the next month. We still have this phenomenal planetary parade displaying itself for our viewing pleasure every day, really through the end of Gregorian February. So, quite a sight to behold. And just know that that's all amplifying and uh, energizing this container, this holographic container we're now literally entering. And
Yeah.
so, what a time to be here.
What a time.
What a time. Well, thank you, everybody in Lakesh, and a big galactic hug to all of our listeners and all of our relatives out there. A big
Mm.
special shout out to Mama Muhjah Shakir for just being amazing and just being a way shower and a model for what regenerative culture and community looks like and what we are inspired to aspire towards as we continue
Mhm.
to walk the path together. Okay? With that, we send you our love, our gratitude in Lakesh.
In Rakesh.
Alakeen. One love.
Tune in with the Galactic Spin podcast and expand your view.